waniwawa. Ibi Dr. Ogunlana waniwawa. Kisa.
All right, good to see everyone again. It's been a while, right? I invite every one of you to join me for coffee. And if you are watching me right now, you can get your own cup of coffee and popcorn. And let us take a look at this ongoing issue between Nigeria and the United States. For some of you that join me for the first time, my name is Oludare Ogunlana. And I want to welcome all of you to this strategic policy analysis that I titled Trump versus Nigeria, the real story behind the threat. If you are joining me for the first time, Ogun Security Research and Strategic Consulting LLC, known as OSRS, is a US-based security and intelligence firm with a focus on Africa. Our mission is to provide balanced, fact-driven, and non-partisan perspective on security, on governance, and geopolitical development across the continent. And for today's discussion, I want to look at the ongoing less tension between President Trump's comment and Nigeria's security reality, and how Nigeria and entire Africa can turn this challenge into an opportunity for reform and resilience. First, I want us to understand external narrative. President Trump's remarks about Nigeria have drawn global attention. His statement suggesting possible action to protect certain communities raises questions about foreign influence and national sovereignty. Meanwhile, many of those advising him seem to lack an accurate understanding of Nigeria's reality. Yes, most people who are advising President Trump, those who call themselves African experts. For instance, I joined people who responded to Dr. Walid Fariz yesterday on X, formerly known as Twitter, where he publicly proposed establishing an emergency base in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Meanwhile, Port Harcourt, Nigeria is a peaceful city in southern Nigeria, very far away from northern and central regions where security challenges exist, where the issue of terrorism is ongoing. And such advice demonstrates a critical gap in contextual understanding of the reality of what is going on in Nigeria. And when external policymakers act on incomplete or misleading intelligence, they risk worsening instability rather than improving it. And that's the danger. Now, let us scan around the world. Let us take a lesson from global experience. The world has seen similar situations before. We've seen this template before. In Libya, external military intervention under the so-called humanitarian justification resulted in prolonged national fragmentation. Today, we don't have Libya again. That prosperous Libya under the leadership of brother leader Muammar Gaddafi is no more. In Iraq, invasion led to the rise of extremist network that persists to this day. Afghanistan, years of international engagement concluded with the same group once ousted returning to power. Yes, they went there to fight Taliban, right? But today, Taliban is ruling Afghanistan. What it means that by the time they finish with Nigeria, Boko Haram will take over and they'll be the one ruling. And if similar interference occur in Nigeria again, let me repeat, the outcome will not be different. It's going to likely mirror these examples: destabilization, economic decline, and social disintegration. And in my opinion, if President Trump is genuinely interested in addressing extremist threats in Africa, the most appropriate focus should be Mali at this point in time, not Nigeria. And you ask me why? Mali currently faces severe instability, surrounded by groups affiliated with ISIS and Al-Qaeda that have overrun much of the countryside. That's the reality. The Russian military are there, but they are not helping to fight this extremist group. The situation there requires coordinated international support and regional collaboration through the African Union and ECOWAS frameworks. And that is where urgent intervention is truly needed, not through unilateral political gesture, but through structured multilateral engagement. Nigeria's challenge, by contrast, are largely internal. That's the reality. It's rooted in governance, corruption, and institutional weakness. And that must be resolved through reform, not foreign boots on the ground, right? So the Nigerian reality is quite different. Nigerian insecurity is multifaceted. It is not a religious war as been framed, but systemic failure of governance, economic inequality, and weak law enforcement. I can confirm to you that citizens of all faiths, whether you are Christian, atheist, Muslim, or traditional believer, everyone have suffered from violence, kidnapping, and organized crime. Thousands have lost their lives in northern and central state of Nigeria over recent years, and many incidents stem from resource conflicts and criminal activity. The real crisis is institutional, not theological, and that's what we want President Trump to understand. Of course, perception matters deeply. When citizens believe their leaders are not doing enough, frustration grows and unity erodes. This perception weakens confidence in government and makes this nation vulnerable to external manipulation. We've seen some of our young people who are happy for that statement coming from President Trump. It's just about perception. They think the leaders are not doing enough. So we've seen governance and leadership gaps, and strong leadership is the foundation of national stability. Everyone in government knows that. President Tinubu himself knows that. Nepotism, corruption, and lack of inclusivity continue to threaten Nigeria's social fabric. Before assuming office, President Bola Tinubu was a vocal advocate for decisive leadership and equitable governance. He was once leader of opposition in Nigeria. Today, Nigerians question why those same principles have not yet translated into measurable reforms. Policies that appear to accommodate or appease violent actors have consistently failed and only embolden criminal networks. Why will President Bola Tinubu continue pampering terrorists instead of dealing with them decisively? Nigeria must now move from wars to action. We have to prioritize justice, inclusivity, and accountability at every level, right? So that's our strategic way out. President Tinubu should not meet Trump's statement with confrontation at this point in time. We know, we've learned from history. We know. Instead, which I know that's what President Tinubu will do, he should turn this challenge into platform for reform and renew trust. If the government is sleeping earlier on, it's time for us to wake up. I would recommend some clear actions. They are not new. It's part of what we've said on several occasions. It's time to bring together former president, governors, and traditional and faith leaders to create a unified security framework. 2, we've talked on several occasions about intelligence modernization. It's time to strengthen our data sharing and predictive analysis between agencies. And there's a need for feasible accountability. We need to prosecute, we need to arrest, prosecute, and publicly prosecute those who fund or facilitate organized violence. Strategic diplomacy is very important. We need to engage United States, engage them constructively, but firmly asserting Nigeria's sovereignty. And again, why do you see some young people who are misinformed? Why see that they are jubilating? Why see that the issue of national pride is not in there today again? We need to manage our national narrative, emphasize unity, because insecurity affects all Nigerians regardless of religion or region. So, if we handle wisely, this movement could become a turning point in Nigeria political and institutional renewal, not what we need to be whining and grinding about. If you talk to most Nigerians today, I've received a lot of calls after my initial post. Public opinion in Nigeria remains sharply divided, and that's the reality. Some welcome external pressure, others see it as a threat to sovereignty. But one reality must be understood. Any instability in Nigeria will reverberate across the entire African continent. Nigeria is Africa's most populous country and one of its largest economies. If Nigeria were destabilized, the consequences will be far-reaching, of course. Refugee flows, economic disruption, and expanded extremist activities in neighboring states. We saw it when they destabilized Libya. We saw how those who escaped from Libya, they were moving weapons to all the Sahel area. The African Union, ECOWAS, and all regional partners must recognize this and prioritize African-led solution, diplomacy, and solidarity. What affects Nigeria inevitably affects Africa's peace, prosperity, and global credibility. And that is why it is very important for Nigeria to chart its own course towards peace and stability. And President Tinubu has that opportunity to lead with courage and vision at this point in time. Of course, Ogun Security, as a US-based security and intelligence firm with a focus on Africa, will remain committed to providing objective analysis and promoting informed dialogue. Africa deserves balanced narrative, not external-driven headlines. Let it be known, Nigeria seeks partnership, not patronage. Progress, not interference. The strength of Africa begins with the stability of Nigeria. And that's what I will leave you. I will leave you on that note. And again, thank you for watching. We are going to continue to monitor closely this development. But again, it is an opportunity for Nigeria to do house cleaning. Once again, I remain Oludare Ogunlana, the CEO of Ogun Security Strategic Research Consulting LLC. Bye for now.